Hey everyone, welcome back to Aravaipa Trail Talk, episode 77. A couple weeks off here. We had a busy couple weeks here at Aravaipa. We had quite a few events, a couple back-to-back weekends. So we are happy to get past that and look on to the next thing. But we do want to do a bit of a recap of what we just went through. So that's what we're doing today.
We're back.
Yeah. It's going to be great. We got Matt back in the studio. We're pretty happy about that, pretty stoked about that. We got Bryce here. I know that he is in the midst of his fall racing season. We're going to check in with him. So lots of exciting stuff to go over this week. So if you are tuning in live, just remember we do have live questions in the chat. So feel free to jump on in there and ask us your questions about everything going on. So let's kind of circle back. We had... let's see, not this weekend, but the weekend before, we had the Fat Ox Endurance Runs. We had the McDowell Mountain Frenzy trail races. And we did have to cancel our mountain bike race that weekend. There was a ton of rain that came through Phoenix, which impacted all of our events. And then this weekend, we're coming off of not only Desert Solstice, but also the Tucson Marathon, which is the first road marathon that we've organized. We had a great time out there, actually. The weather was perfect. It was a great day.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty big last couple weekends, for sure.
Yeah, we're hoping to never have this much going on. It was kind of a serendipitous thing, having some events fall on these same weekends, so we're hoping to spread the calendar a little bit next year.
Work smarter, not harder, right?
Definitely. Right on. Where should we start this week?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to start maybe back at like Fat Ox, McDowell Mountain Frenzy, or do you want to start with the things that most recently happened while they're, top of mind?
Man, I'm really open for anything. I was going to try and get to our agenda here real quick.
Where do you want us to start, Bryce?
I mean, we could chronologically, I think, McDowell Mountain Frenzy, Fat Ox.
Yep. So do you want to start with Fat Ox? You were out on site. You were race directing this race at a new venue. What was the feedback like with the new course?
Yeah, absolutely. So traditionally, the Nardini Series events, which is our small fixed time series, has taken place at Nardini Manor, and they ended up having a wedding season here in Phoenix, the weather and everything. So we couldn't use Nardini for this event. And so it's been on my mind for a little bit. They built a 1 mile concrete loop out at Estrella Park, same place that we host Coldwater. And so we got the loop certified. They were open to us coming out. And I thought it would be a great chance for people to try out a new course. So we brought the Fat Ox Endurance Runs out there, and I think overall it was great. The surface is great. It's, as far as performances go, I think it's going to be better than across the years. It's going to be better than Nardini Manor, and it kind of offers probably arguably even better than Jackpot, just because there is almost no climb on this loop, and it is just short of 1 mile. So it's a great distance. The climb is negligible. It's consistently the same all the way around. There's 0 sharp turns on the course. Doesn't get much better than that. The only thing it's missing is lighting around the entire loop. But I think that's a minimal issue. So we did have a new 48-hour Canadian record set by Jerry Hughes. He came on out. He is an awesome story. He does not have a large intestine. So that does provide some interesting challenges for him nutritionally. He can't eat certain types of foods. I think he has to carry like a certain extra thing with him. And like, wow. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it didn't stop him from breaking Dave Proctor's 48-hour Canadian record. And
That's
then
pretty
he
impressive.
Also got into the top 10 all-time North American list. So wow. Kind of with all the American runners.
That's pretty impressive.
So that's pretty cool. We also had a couple age group records set out there by a couple different folks as well. So Larry, I think it's Larry Stevens of the Larry Slam, if you remember that from Mountain Outpost, sometime in the last couple of years. There was, I think he did like Pine to Palm, maybe like Tahoe Rim Trail. There's a bunch of these Northwest hundreds, and he made his own slam. Call it the Larry Slam.
Classic.
I think it's hilarious.
Sounds like something you would do.
Probably. So anyways, yeah, Fat Ox was great. It rained on us through half the event, but I think it's something, I know it's not that more forgiving gravel surface, but as far as performances goes, I think it's going to be a great option out there. We're going to move the event back into November next year. And we're toying around with the idea of filing for the USATF 24-hour national championship. We haven't had a national championship, I think, in a couple years, if I recall. I don't know. I haven't, maybe since North Coast, which seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it could be an interesting option for folks.
Yeah, definitely. I think that that'd be a really, interesting venue for a U.S. championship, right? You've got a fast venue. You've got capacity to take on, a high number of participants. So it could be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Question for you, Jamil.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it would have been more difficult at the Nardini Manor with the rain? Like, how do you think having the concrete
it would have
was...
been disgusting. Like, yeah, it would have been super muddy. Yeah, not good. Not good. I mean, even across the years, I mean, it's actually predominantly dirt course for across the years. There's some sharp turns. There's some more narrow sections. I know it is lit up at night, but, there's just a brief section of asphalt and kind of sidewalk. And this one is completely paved. So, yeah, like I said, I think people that are more used to doing trail runs, maybe not as happy about it. But for those that are true road runners and true looking for that best top performance, the fact that it is such a great loop, I think could lend itself well to great performances in the future.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it'll be
the rain was
kind of fast
no
all weather, right?
Yeah,
because of the surface. So
I mean, there was a couple little puddles. We actually had one low spot right near the timing tent, so we were kind of brooming away and kind of draining it a little bit. But other than that, it was pretty great. And then McDowell Mountain Frenzy, that was the big one. I didn't get to make it out there, but I think couldn't have had more awesome races unfold for the Golden Shoe performances and for those Solomon Athlete sponsorships. Georgia Porter and Brian Curl were the winners. Georgia from Flagstaff, Brian, I think from Salt Lake area. Does that sound right?
I'll double check.
Maybe I think he's from Utah.
Yeah.
I think of that because I raced against him at the Rufa 12-hour. He might have been the only one to go 8 laps this year, which is impressive on that course.
yeah, and I mean their performances at McDowell Mountain 50 were super impressive, right? I mean, course records for both, and just I mean they beat really, really competitive fields by like not massive margins, but like it wasn't super, super tight or super close. So yeah, that was really impressive. Obviously Georgia's win was incredible. I think that she was maybe in the top 10 overall as well, which is pretty impressive again, given there were people from all over coming out for
we had
this
multiple
race.
men break the course record.
Looks like, so Brian, thank you. Lindsay McDonald in the chat. Brian is from Salida, Colorado.
Yeah, that's right.
He's from Colorado?
Yeah, Salida.
Got it. Oh, okay. Nice. Got that altitude.
And I will mention, because Sarah brought it up in the chat, rain was definitely a factor at McDowell this time. I think I finished up when it just started sprinkling, but by like an hour after I got in, like the trail, it just turned into rivers. I know people were running through like actual streams.
Well, and I remember seeing a lot of like those finisher photos where like Brian Curl's finisher photo, like his shirt is just like painted onto his body because it's soaked.
It was dumping, and that's going to make that last part of the course slower too. There's a couple areas, they call it the clay pit out there.
Yep.
So it's honestly a lot of the park out there handles the rain really well. The Pemberton Trail for the most part is that crushed granite.
Yep.
And so it doesn't really get muddy and it doesn't really get soft. It just kind of flows down, but there are a few sections that turn nasty out there.
Well, and like think about how impressive those times were, given the fact that they would have spent, the last little bit of the course, in a pretty good rain.
Yeah.
Those records.
Probably
if we
lost
get
a
these
few
kind
minutes.
of if we get these kind of competitive fields year over year, those records could kind of keep getting pushed down, I think, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so shout out to Brian Curl, and we had Galen Hetch and JP Giblin for your men's podium, and then Georgia Porter, Megan Slavin, and Kelsey Slagle were your podium for the women in the 50 mile.
So top 3, so podium for both men and women. All 6 of those individuals are on the top time list for the 50 mile, like by quite a bit.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. And then in our 50K, which of course is part of our Dirt Series point standings, both the 50 mile and 50K get you points for the Hawk Series. We had Chris Myers roll in from LA and smoked it. He broke a Rob Krar course record, 3:21:15. He was, checks notes, 17 minutes ahead of second place Nick Curry. Just destroyed it.
17 minutes ahead of Nick Curry.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. It's not like he was out there in another, like, he was in a very competitive field and still just absolutely crushed it.
And then Bryce Brooks, third place on the podium, 3:51.
Hey.
Legit.
It was, the conditions for the 50K, if you finished in like 4.5 hours or less, were ideal. Like cool, overcast the whole time. And then, like I said, I just got sprinkles. So the rain wasn't a negative factor for I'd say the first quarter of the 50K.
Yeah.
And then Rachel Lemke of Manitou Springs was your winner for the women, 4:35, with Tracy Campagno second and Rachel Buzzard third. So they're both locals to Arizona.
And somebody mentioned in the chat, but Chris Myers flew on that course. I know Brian Curl did too. And I just got to see Chris Myers firsthand, 3:21, I think is what he ran that 50K in.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime you take down a Rob Krar in his prime course record, that's pretty impressive,
It's stood since what, 2012?
2012.
2012.
So
that's 10
Chris
years.
has been at it for a little while here. It looks like he ran his first 50K back in 2019. And he was first at the Bulldog Ultra. And then trying to see what else he did. He's Way Too Cool was a 6th place in 2020. First place at Black Canyon 60K this year. 5th at Way Too Cool this year. First place at Quicksilver 50K. 4th at Broken Arrow. First at Bulldog Ultra again. 7th at Mammoth 50K. And here he is at Frenzy 50K. So it'll be fun to see. He's not registered for anything on Ultra sign up coming up, but we'll see. Maybe maybe he would be a last minute entrant to Black Canyon.
Yeah. He was here for the 60K last year.
Oh, he won that first overall?
Yeah.
Yep.
So why not come out for the 100K?
Do we want to touch base with our 25K winners as well?
Let's do it.
Quick
Dan
question.
Watson. What's that?
Quick question.
Yeah.
Just from Sarah Newberry in the chat. With the golden shoes, did they represent gender like a women's shoe and a men's shoe? I'll just say to Sarah, they were gender neutral shoes. I think she's asking specifically if we had a gender for the men and women's shoe. I'll just say they were unisex.
Oh, I think they were. Originally we were going to do that, but I think he decided to spray paint an S-Lab, or it was like an S-Lab Sense 7, which I think is a unisex style. So Dan Watson was your winner in 145, kind of blew everyone away. And then for the women's race, we had Amanda Westergaard was your winner in 221. For the 10 miler, we'll give a shout out to Kevin Aller, winning in 110. With Alicia Morton, your winner for the women in 125. And then your 5 mile race, Aaron Barber, 35:46.
Yeah, buddy.
And Katie Boligitz, 48:20.
Love it.
Aaron, second fastest all time for Aaron. Aaron was moving fast.
And then we had our Strava segments.
Yes.
You want to go into those?
Yeah, let me pull those up real fast.
So we've been doing these Strava segment challenges at the Desert Runner Trail Series for this winter. It's just a fun little additional thing that we've thrown in there. And so we have 2 different ones for Frenzy. The first one is Get to the Channel. This is a 0.91 mile segment.
So we'll go down to this year. Let me throw it on the TV screen view. And then we could do past month. This month, is it just going to show? It's just going to show December. So we'll just do this year, and then we'll just. Did it show?
You want
you want this
December.
month.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, 'cause
December
the
3rd.
race day was
There we
December
go.
So
3rd.
Aaron Barber looks like was your winner.
6:22 pace.
That tracks.
Whew. Cooking.
And then this one was for the longer courses. Oh, let me pull up women here too. I think. So female was Jessie, who came in 8:03 pace. This one was just to the Scott calls it a channel, so that's how the name Get to the Channel came about.
Well, it's called the Channel by the Park.
It is called the Channel by the Park.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
I
the
see.
official name of it.
And the Gold Digger Descent, which is on the 50 mile and the 50K course. By a healthy margin. Chris Myers took that. Brian Curl, though, was 4th, running the 50 miler.
Well, Galen
Justin,
and JP.
Justin Grunwald, wasn't he in
yep.
the
Justin
50 miler
Grinfall
too?
he was in it, yep, and he had to drop. Missed a turn. Can you go up and show us where that segment is?
Oh, yeah.
So that is. Oh, it's coming down Thompson Peak.
Yeah, it's
Oh no!
It would be as
Oh,
you're
this
going
is on
in. This is the Dick going down Prospector.
Oh, so it's in the 50K and 50 mile.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Right on. Cool.
And then women was Rachel Lemke.
Who was the 50K winner? Makes sense that they would be the fastest.
Does.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's see. Let's talk about the winners of FatOx. We had our 100-mile winner was Ellen Lagerman. Other notable that we talked about Jerry Hughes, Larry Stevens, and Jen Francis was our 12-hour winner she did 100K. So, all right. Also happening that day were the lotteries for Hard Rock and Western States. And my story from that day is I was watching kind of it all unfold as I was out at FatOx, and we had John Figverisi, who is one of the Barkley finishers. He lives in Flagstaff now. He came out to do the 6-hour, and while he was mid-loop, he got pulled for both races, Western States and Hard Rock, back-to-back, essentially. People were watching both, and he got pulled. And so I got to announce to him as he was coming around, which is just awesome. It's like totally makes someone's day when they find out they get into these races.
That's so awesome.
And then Pam Reed, who was also running the 100-miler, got into both.
Man, I wonder what the odds are of getting into both in the same year.
I think it just depends who you are. If you're like a legacy hard rocker, but it's got to be super low because Western States is just so hard to get into. They're both so hard to get into.
Man, that's crazy. Arlen Glick also got into both, it sounds like.
That's got to be a Dale pick.
That's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
That's per Bryce
you have
Brooks'
any other
notes.
ideas on Dale's picks here?
I
That
don't.
seems like one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else
Like
he would
he's
have
gonna get in with
qualified
one
for Hard
ticket.
Rock.
Huh?
What was his Hard Rock qualifier?
We had to still have a qualifier.
Yeah.
Probably Run Rabbit Run.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, but
one
got in with
ticket.
one-
Yeah. you question it. It's possible, but you question it.
See, Zach Bates got in.
Zach Bates got into Western States. Yep.
Yep.
We
Western.
had a handful of Arizona runners for sure get in, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, it is.
Your brother?
And what I loved
Oh, yeah.
was that Scott out at McDowell Mountain Frenzy had hats for people. See you at States or
See you at Hard Rock?
See you at Hard Rock. Yeah, it's really cool.
Your brother got into Hard Rock?
He got into Hard Rock. Yep.
No lottery luck for you?
Well, I didn't put in for Hard Rock. and I didn't get pulled for Western States. So back to I guess I got to find my qualifier for Western States for next year. We'll see.
What else happened? Tucson Marathon.
So Tucson
happened.
Marathon, we're just coming off that. We had Rob Arend from Phoenix take the win, and second was Dan Brownstein. They were both, I think, 2:30. Nick Curry was third in 2:31. For the women, Corinne Chalvoy was your winner for the women's race in 2:55 on the Aravaipa Racing team. We had Amanda Sullivan second and Jenna Robeson third. What's that?
What's the name? Could you repeat the name of the first place male in the full?
Rob Arend.
Yeah. Rob Arend, that's right. So we might be mentioning his name again. He's in for another race coming up.
He's doing the Thriller
50K.
Nice.
Saw him on there real
another throwdown with Nick, who is also in.
Is he
Thriller
really?
50K.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Here he goes again.
That's 3 weeks in a row because he did
Frenzy,
50K. He did Tucson Marathon, which he podiumed in both of those, and now 50K next week.
In our 50K, which is definitely a smaller component of the whole race, there's about 30 people that did that compared to the, I think, 600 plus that did the marathon. Nathan King was your winner. I got to chat with him for a little bit. And then Vivian Bobbitt of Tucson was your winner and second overall. She crushed it. Congratulations.
Viv's Vibe
on YouTube.
Check her out.
So that's kind of the recap of Tucson. We're excited to host that one, and we'll be hopefully looking to make some changes next year to the event. We're looking at some new courses. Hopefully we'll have approval for them in January, and we'll be able to release those out into the world. And we're just excited for, I guess, the future of that event. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this is kind of just like the starting point, right? In terms of where we think this race can kind of grow to.
Definitely.
There are some scenes from it going on behind you there.
This is from last year.
Yep.
We have a short video we'll be posting probably later today from some visuals from this year, which is awesome. But yeah, it's an interesting race. It's called the Tucson Marathon, but it is north of Tucson. A good part of it is along the highway here, and it's honestly pretty scenic. It's not in the middle of a city, so it's a little bit of a different type of a road race. It'll be a little more in the city next year, the town of Oro Valley, hopefully, and we're going to have a really unique start line next year for the race.
Yeah, and I mean, it's you get to really experience kind of the beauty of the Sonoran Southwest as you're kind of traversing along this super downhill course. So couldn't ask for better weather as well for the most part. You know, it's cold a lot of places this time of year.
We were right
Not
around
terrible
freezing
down
at
in
the
Tucson.
start, but then it warmed up nicely. Didn't get too hot. It's great. All right, let's circle back around to Desert Solstice. You were out there. Maybe you want to take the lead on that one. How did the live stream play out this year? How did the race play out this year?
Yeah, I mean, so the live stream we broadcast from trackside this year, so we were set up like in lane 6 or 7 just before the start-finish line. So really cool experience. Huge shout out to the sponsor Hoka, who, you know, kind of helped bring all of that to life, right? We were able to, you know, really have a lot more branding on site, but also we're able to just do a lot more with the live stream in terms of like visual elements and things like that. And again, being able to broadcast trackside was pretty awesome. The race was great. I feel like Solstice is always a really awesome race because even when people drop out, you're watching, you know, some of the best fixed time runners in the world, you know, running here. And, you know, we saw a number of age group records and surface records, and we watched Marissa Lysak do Marissa Lysak things and put on kind of a clinic.
She set a PR, won the race overall, 156.76
and she just ran
6 miles.
She executed just the perfect race strategy. Like at one point she was back in like 12th or 13th overall, and she was just so consistent, avoided those real big numbers on laps. When you start to hit, a little bit of a hole, she didn't hit those laps where she had to go sit down for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. She really kind of minimized those and had a great performance. And so it was awesome to be trackside and to be able to bring, we didn't have an American record. We didn't have Camille setting a new 100-mile world record, but we had a number of just like really awesome performances. Chad Lassiter, I think, was second overall, first male with 150 plus miles. And I think he moved into a position that would qualify him for the team as of right now. So
that's an interesting story because he was applying, I think, under the B standard and kind of got in at the last minute to the race. They kind of, maybe a spot opened up or two and he got in, which is pretty cool because he definitely proved himself.
Yeah, I mean, just an excellent race. And again, even the people who, maybe had to drop early, or Jeff Browning who stopped at 100 miles, but everyone kind of laid it out there. Jeff, another interesting story. Like, I couldn't think of something more like the opposite for him, probably, right? Like, coming to a fixed time track event when he's, been really successful with like big mountain races, and he's at a point in his career where he doesn't have to do anything to like prove anything to anyone. And for him to kind of step out of his comfort zone and try something new, I think was really cool. Was really cool to see.
So yeah, we had Camille set a 100-mile open track record, 13:02:16. I think that's her third best all-time 100.
American, or was that the American track open record? Or
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay.
And then
And then she also hit the 50 mile and 100K.
50-mile American Open track record, and in 5:57:46, and also 100K. Yeah. And then Olivier LeBlanc, I think, was your men's 100-mile winner in 14 flat, 23 seconds. Looks like. So yeah.
I mean, there were just so many interesting storylines coming into that race too, and some that didn't pan out with. Like, you had Amanda Nelson and Victoria Brown both in the same race chasing the Canadian 24-hour record, which, like, didn't come to fruition for either of them, but it just made for, like, so many interesting things
like
to, like,
storylines.
Keep your eye on,
So, Chris Warden hopping on the chat here for us.
Love it.
During her final 45 minutes, Marissa had a streak of 17 consecutive laps where she sped up, starting at 2:27 down to 1:58. And she wasn't wearing a watch.
Wow.
Can you imagine? Yeah. 17 consecutive laps with no watch where each one successively gets faster.
And it was between about 30 seconds faster, so it's like a second per.
Yeah, it's like 1 to 2
seconds
1 to 2 seconds per lap, right?
Wow. That's awesome.
That's pretty impressive.
Super cool. Well, it'll be interesting to see Desert Solstice next year, as the World Championships are going to be December 3rd in Taiwan. So we will likely be a week or 2 weeks after that, depending on how the dates line up. So we'll probably not see we won't see any of the 24-hour team members at Desert Solstice next year, which could open things up for a whole new batch of folks to come out and get a chance to line up at Desert Solstice. Or focus on the 100-mile distance.
I think that was something that your brother Nick had pointed out during the live stream that I found really interesting, was during those years when Solstice aligns with World Champs, you actually tend to see maybe better 100-mile fields because you get kind of newer people coming in. So you'll see a lot more new faces, which I think is super awesome.
And at this point, I mean, it is kind of interesting how it lines up. But if we do the national championship for 24 hours at Fat Ox, that would be like the week and a half before that. So I don't know. In a perfect world, maybe the lineup wouldn't make sense, but a lot of opportunities, I guess, for people that want to line up and run 24 hours. It could be an exciting time.
Well, and I mean, how many 6 people make the world team, right?
It's not like everyone.
You're looking at, there's a plethora of really talented runners who aren't gonna make the team.
Well, and I would think too, a lot of people that can't get into Desert Solstice for whatever reason and maybe don't want to run on a track, they can go to a race like FADOX.
Yep.
Age group, athletes especially, I think would be great for them that want to compete for that national title.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. What else do we got? Is that everything that happened in the last couple weeks? I think for the most part.
5 races? Yeah, I think we got it.
I mean, yeah, technically we had 5 races, right?
1, 2.
We had a
3, 4.
cancellation of the.
Well, but we had Thriller or Frenzy,
Mayhem.
Sure.
Mayhem night runs. Can't
That's
leave
right.
that out.
That's right.
And yeah,
5 races in 2 weekends.
it's too much.
It's a lot. Including, and they were in like a combined total of 3 days or something like that.
Absolutely. So coming up, we're looking at the Cave Creek Thriller this weekend. It's the last race in the fall component of the Desert Runner Trail Series. We've got, I think, almost 500 coming out, which is awesome. It's a great place, great way to run into the holiday season.
Yeah, and that 50K course is super unique, right? Because it's a point-to-point along the Maricopa Trail, which is, super beautiful. So really stoked that we got a lot of people.
Got 100 people in the 50K, which is the biggest it's ever been.
That's awesome.
Super exciting. Rob Arend is your headliner, I guess. We got Bryce Brooks, Andy Klink, Nick Curry, Chris Burkle from New England. It's kind of your top men. James Brayfogle, he's always a consistent one out here. And Rachel Buzzard is going to be back. We got Bella Ward, Lori Enlow, Rachel Goldblum, Summer Igo, Paula Olson. So that's kind of your top women that are going to be competing in the 50K. Probably got some familiar names on the 24K. We have 151 in the 24K. Very unique because it's a point-to-point 24K along the Maricopa Trail. So both of these unique in the sport for sure.
Which and thank you to Affluent Journeys, who's also in the chat for got his video of the Cave Creek Thriller going on in the background there.
Nice shout out.
Yeah, really, really great one. We've got in the 24K. Ooh, this one's looking pretty stacked up.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Westergaard, who just won, I think, the Frenzy. We just shouted her out.
Short distance at Frenzy, yeah.
We got Leah Rosenfeld.
Love it.
Hannah Friedrich, Natalie Sandoval, Jessie Pearl. Those are kind of your top.
Wow, that actually is super interesting. So Leah
Hannah Friedrich was just 4th place at the Frenzy.
Well, Leah Rosenfeld is interesting as well. Like she helped us with commentary for Flagstaff Sky Peak, but she ran for Under Armour Dark Sky Distance for a while. She might still as well, based up in Flag, and I believe that she's won the marathon at the Maccabi Games. I apologize if I mispronounced that, which is like the Jewish Olympics, like multiple times. And so to see her making her way to the trails is super interesting against, a number of really talented runners. Natalie Sandoval, Amanda Westergaard.
She won Imogene Pass last year.
I think she was maybe top 5 or top 10 at Crown King.
4th at Crown King.
Yeah.
Yep. And then 4th at the Continental Divide Trail Race 16 miler. So we'll see how she's feeling.
That's gonna be pretty sweet.
It's gonna be a good race. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, stay tuned. We will have the results up on live.aravaiparunning.com. You can follow along from afar or come on out. I think there's gonna be a beer garden at the finish. Sounds like there's going to be some pizza at the finish this year. So come check it out.
We'll have a Strava segment.
We will have a Strava segment.
The final quarter-mile sprint to the finish. So get your legs primed.
That's going to be awesome.
It's called ABC, another Scott Trayer-influenced Strava segment name. Always be chasing.
Always be chasing, huh?
Always be chasing.
Closing?
Always
closing. Thank you. That was a different C word.
We're here for you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to some other exciting news that's happening. So this idea has been floating around in our heads for a while. Like I would say ever since the very first Black Canyon live stream in 2021. It was just 2021.
No, see, it
was
feels
last
like it was
year.
like a decade ago.
It was just last year. We
Yeah.
did our first kind of remote on-course.
like premiere broadcast.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That wasn't just Desert Solstice.
Yeah,
So, ever since last year, we've been thinking about how cool would it be to do more live streams of the Western States Golden Ticket races. That would be incredible. And so I actually reached out to both Canyons and Bandera last year at some point to see if they had any interest, and they were interested and receptive, which is awesome to see. And we didn't quite get anything put together for this last season, but we reached back out recently, and we are going to be broadcasting the Bandera 100K live in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it, and yeah, I mean, super excited to be able to do that, right? Like Bandera is a race that connectivity issues have always been maybe a crutch for why there hasn't been more coverage, but it's a very, very important race on like the national or global racing calendar, right? Like being kind of the first golden ticket race of the calendar year. And so, yeah, I mean, super stoked to just be able to bring live video coverage from the beautiful trails of Bandera, Texas.
Yeah, definitely exciting. Historically it's been tough to get information about what happens at Bandera because it's so remote and there's almost no cell phone reception from what we gather. And so, we're going to do our best. We're working alongside Tejas Trails and some other folks to try and bring this to you. So still want to put a disclaimer out there. We don't know yet what it's all going to look like, but we're going to do our best to, do better than has ever been done before, which not much has been done. So hopefully the bar is pretty low, but no, I think we've got a solid plan. I think we should be able to bring some good images and kind of help follow the race. So we've already got the live stream scheduled on the Aravaipa Running YouTube channel. So go bookmark that link and join us. It'll be January 7th, starting at 6 a.m. Arizona time, 7 a.m. Central time. So we'll go live a little bit early. We'll hopefully have some great visuals pending the fog lifting from across the course. One of the nice things is it is a 2-loop course. So we should have coverage from most of the aid stations. And hopefully you'll tune in at least part of the day. Check it out. Support it.
Yeah, and anyone who is in Texas who wants to help, we do have some volunteer filming slots available. So you can check that out on our Aravaipa website, like our volunteer page there. You can check that out. But yeah, basically, we're going to be doing our best to bring live coverage from Bandera to the masses as it should be.
Yeah, so it's very exciting. Of course, last season we had Black Canyon, and then we did Javelina Black Canyon, and then this season for the 2023 Western States we're doing Javelina, Bandera, Black Canyon. So we haven't spoken to the folks at Canyons this year. We would love to participate, but it is days before the Cocodona 250, so I think we're going to have to leave that. Hopefully the fine folks at UTMB have something that they're cooking up on their end. So, I mean, we're here to support you if you need anything from us, but we probably won't be able to host that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I hope that this does the most is open up more cross collaboration opportunities, right? Us working with Tejas Trails, I think that more race organizers working together for kind of the betterment of the sport is something that's super important, right? In terms of being able to share more incredible stories over the course of the year. So
yeah, I mean, I think the storyline of people racing their way into Western States is really cool. Like we're kind of beating the drum maybe by saying it again, but it is something fun to follow, and I think it gives us some good storylines to anchor into as we follow, the athletes that try and fail and try again and fail, and then they finally get it months or years later is so cool. And then to see what they end up doing on race day on such a big stage, I think is just really awesome. So I think this just gives us another chance to focus on, the athletes in the sport. And I know it is a focus on the front of the pack here, which, we don't always just do that at our races, but it is nice to, I think, follow some of these storylines at the front of the pack.
For sure.
So yeah, that's our big announcement.
Yeah.
At least for now.
You got anything in the chat for us, Bryce?
We do. Let's I'm just going to filter back to the top. I'm just going to read through. We have a few questions on here. One specifically for you, Matt. But let me see here.
Hopefully it's a good question.
Well, the one for you I liked. Let me see.
Part of Bryce's role here at Aravaipa is to filter questions about me.
Here it is. Did Matt ever get a mule to train for that prospector race?
That's a good question. No, I did not.
Not yet?
Not yet.
All right.
Still in the hunt.
Jamil, how long until Arlen becomes the next Barkley finisher?
Oh, boy. That's a great question. I wouldn't put it past Arlen. I think he's incredible, but we'll see, man. I think there's probably a couple people I think might get it done before Arlen. Their names might start with Carol and Joe, but we'll see.
Any thoughts on the new Canyons 100-mile course?
I don't know that I know it. So I don't know that I have any thoughts on it yet.
We'll have to get some information together. And
Mike, is it going to happen? Is the course going to be for this year?
I heard from a friend who used to live there, who knows a bunch of people there, saying that a significant amount of the course is still blocked off due to the fire damage. So,
we're entering the winter season, so they're not going to be able to do any work on the trail until the spring thaw. So, I know they were out there a little bit, right?
But
they might have to just. It did burn almost all the way down to the American River below Forest Hill, so that's like a significant portion of that course.
I heard 40 miles is closed off right now.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough. If I could, I'll have to see if I can see what the race looks like. I don't know. It's just up in the air right now.
Aid Station Fireball says, looks like it's just a mishmash of the Canyons course with parts of Way Too Cool and Formidable thrown in.
Yeah. It's it's all the stuff in there.
It's like, let's just throw these 3 races together. And here's our 100-mile baby.
Will we get to see Scott Trayer's interview series continue for the Golden Ticket Chasers?
The Chasing Gold?
Yes.
So, yeah, we are in talks with Scott Trayer right now.
Our people are talking to Scott's people.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I have asked Scott, and I think we will hopefully get a few. I think, it might not be like the 15 we did the first time around for Black Canyon, but hopefully we can get a handful, maybe 6 to 8 would be really cool. So, actually, I might need your guys' help to identify some athletes and maybe make that initial contact.
Love it.
And then, we'll get Scott going. But, yeah, I think we do plan to do a mini Chasing Gold series. We plan to do a pre-show here as like a studio test, potentially Friday, the day before the race. We're going to have the live broadcast. And then in a perfect world, as long as I have a little bandwidth, because I'll be out there, I hope to do some pre-athlete interviews upon arrival, as long as we have everything sorted on site. And then hopefully we do some other sort of content in addition to the live stream, but we'll just have to see, bandwidth permitting.
Have y'all covered the new Trail Runner of the Year vote by Free Trail?
No.
Not yet.
I think, there's Ultra Runner of the Year. Voting is taking place right now. FKT of the Year voting is also taking place right now. Those are done by panelists. And I believe my understanding of the Free Trail one is it's just popular vote from the community.
It's like open source, but it is global.
So anyone can vote.
Yep.
So
I am appreciative of, Dylan and that team for like putting it together. I think that there's space in the sport. It's got like my brain spinning on all the cool stuff that could happen in the sport in terms of those kinds of things. But yeah, I mean, I haven't looked too much into it
my
yet.
real question is, when is Mountain Outpost bringing back the Ultra Bromance of the Year award?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we should. I think there needs to be, like, instead of having, like, all these different awards that live independent of each other, I think we need, what do you got going on there,
Some
Bryce?
ads over here. We need to get our...
Something got hairy on there.
I think we need, like, our version of, like, the Heisman Trophy ceremony, where it's like all of these different awards that are voted on and owned by different entities can be presented to the people in one ceremony.
Elegant night.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It could be the Trail Runner of the Year presented by Free Trail here at the 2023 Aravaipa Running Trail Runner Awards ceremony.
Ultra Bromance, me and porta potties. That's what Justin says.
I mean, it would make sense to do an online show, of course, but you could have like each group come on and present their awards.
Exactly.
That could be really cool, where like Ultra Running Magazine comes on and they kind of make their presentations, and then you could hear from the award winners on the show. Would be really cool. Then you could move to fastest known time, then you can move to Free Trail, then you can move to whatever else.
Just saying, I think
it's a very interesting idea. I do like that a lot.
I've pitched it privately to some friends, and it's been pretty well received. So
Nice.
Just saying.
Any plans for a longer distance at Copper Corridor, 100-mile or 100K specifically? But 50K is the longest one, so I think 50-mile would be in there.
Oh yeah, I have courses drawn up for sure. I have
Of course.
What distances do you want? I have all the way up to 200 miles drawn up, so we could go all in. I think the challenge there is it's so close to, it's a bit close to Black Canyon, which makes it a little tough. I think this year it's going to be the week after, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Although I think sooner rather than later we should probably add in a 50-miler at minimum, maybe 100K, because it would just be so incredible.
That area is, I mean,
because we would go from the Gila River through the White Canyon area.
Say outside of the Grand Canyon, coolest part of the Arizona Trail. That area is ridiculously rugged and wild and beautiful, and it's so cool. Martinez Canyon, like all the way down to the Gila. It's just,
I haven't been down there lately. I think what needs to happen is we just need to go on an exploratory run again.
Well, like so much rich history out that way as well. Like that whole area has so much history, both in terms of like geographical history, like how Picket Post Mountain was formed to
it's the entire
like
Copper Corridor. We would basically be
economical
extending
history,
further into the corridor, like further south, because there's all those mining towns all the way down to Oracle.
Winkleman, Kearney, all those
Mammoth,
places down there. Mammoth.
Old Ray, Sonora. I mean, that's where my family originally settled in Arizona, which is pretty cool.
Love it.
So yeah, not for 2023. Maybe 2024.
That's pretty much it. Copper Corridor up Picket Post. Love it. Free Trail put their runner voting to be open and then critiqued the selections midstream, reiterated the rules. I assume it was because it wasn't how it had hoped.
Yeah, I didn't really understand everything. I didn't catch all that. Did you? Like, people were upset about something?
No, it sounded like they have like selection criteria that is put out publicly, right? So that hopefully voters are more informed. And those criteria were maybe just reiterated mid-vote, which led some people to believe maybe they weren't happy with the way the results were being.
We can't see how the votes are rolling in.
But they would be able
so
to.
They're basically seeing the votes rolling in, and it's probably like Courtney and Jim, and then they're like, hey, actually you're supposed to spend like 40 hours researching every runner.
I don't want to say that I don't want to say that was the intention by any means. I want to say that is how maybe some people had interpreted.
But that's probably why panelists exist, because they the panelists are chosen because they are going to be more discerning of the qualifications and like the guidance that's provided by the organizers of the awards ceremony or something. So it's a tough thing. And like, it's tough because when I go through the list, it's an overwhelming, and I know they limited it greatly. There's only 150 names or so. Part of it, you know, there's not thousands, but there's still a lot.
Yeah.
And like, I start scrolling through to pick my 10 and I'm like, I don't know like half these names first off. And like to click through each name to try and find out what they did, to compare against other people and how they did and remember, it's like hundreds of data points. Like I don't know. So I'm going to start to select people that I know of that I kind of remember what they did this year. Yeah. So yeah, Courtney. Oh yeah, I remember she did something. Oh yeah, Devin Yanko maybe, or whoever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Sarah Alonso had some great stuff, or it's a couple people from the Golden Trail series, you know. But it's challenging. It's not easy, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my perception, and like when I was going through it, kind of what I personally was doing. I was like,
well, it's definitely hard. Hopefully, it's becoming easier as more races get like media attention, whether it be live stream, whether it be social coverage, whether it be post-produced media content. Hopefully, just like the general coverage of major races helps make it easier, but it is still hard because you're also then, you know, you're comparing across so many different categories, right? And so it's like,
how do you compare, you know, Remy Bonnet smashing everyone in all these Golden Trail Series races with someone who, Joe McConaughey, who wins the Cocodona 250 and puts on a clinic,
or like Ali Mack.
Yeah, Ali Mack, and like, and no athlete is going to like be the greatest at the VK up to the 200-mile distance, and no one's going to put together a season like that in order to win an award like this. So it's really hard to really compare it at all. It's really tough.
Well, I think it opens the door to more awards.
More awards,
right?
Really.
Like, if you're looking at college football awards, right, you have an award for the best offensive lineman or the best tight end or the best receiver. And then you also have your Heisman Trophy, which could be position agnostic, right? It doesn't matter if you're a quarterback or wide receiver or whatever. Anyone could win that. Maybe that's what we need in trail running. Maybe we need awards for short course mountain running and like maybe,
when there's like fixed time, like, you know,
exactly.
And that's an important part of our sport too. And like the certified distance type road stuff, like that's heating up and that's getting more exciting. You know, what Alexander Sorokin is doing. There's just so many things. I mean, and we don't just need one thing. We need all of it, and we need more of it probably. Like, who's the best at 200s? Who's the best at 100-milers? Mountain versus flat. Yeah.
I love it.
Whew.
All right.
Got for us, Bryce?
I think we got through the meat of the questions. I do have maybe one quick take or two quick takes if you guys want to take a quick peek at that.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, we talked about a man in a bear suit who was running across America. It was just a news article. We were speculating it was probably a prank. It was not a prank.
He has a YouTube channel with 9,000 subscribers, actually.
It was not a prank at all. And you can see in the shadow, he is, in fact, wearing the bear suit. But
does he ever set the camera down and run past it?
Not that I see.
He's like in his hotel.
I think most of it.
Suit.
I think most of it's him talking. This was the most recent episode. I haven't watched it all the way through, but the last time he uploaded, I want to say was 3 weeks.
I was going to say, how often are these?
They were very often until 3 weeks ago.
Oh, so he ended it again?
Potentially. Maybe he needs a lighter bear suit. I don't know, but he was moving pretty well. And then looks like he made it to 15. Date at 15, and then it stopped.
Oh, boy.
So I don't know. I'm going to keep checking back periodically to this YouTube channel.
This is wild.
But it's definitely a thing, and it was real. I think it was Ben Cook who mentioned that in the comments of our last Trail Talk. So, Ben, if you're listening, thank you for this rabbit hole. This was my one real quick take here, which I believe both of you probably saw it already.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You see, this has become known as the Turkey Trot Takedown. The battle for 4th place. Let me mute this real fast. So the battle for 4th place, which don't get me wrong, they're moving fast.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So if this were a cycling race, the gentleman on the inside cuts his line, basically cuts him off. So if it were a cycling race, if this were the Tour de France, that person would be disqualified.
I think they did disqualify him.
Did they disqualify
I'm
him?
pretty sure they did, yeah. The guy that just ran, like he had
After
all
the
that
fact,
room.
I think
Yeah, they DQ'd
disqualified
him.
Yeah.
All right, but did you guys notice the watch stoppage at the end?
I
Watch.
didn't until you just
He
mentioned
stopped it like
Disqualified.
after he fell.
So wait,
That's right.
what? The guy's on the ground, and wait, he's first thing he does, boop.
Boom. As he's laying there. Classic. This has got to go to Strava.
Priorities.
Falls down.
This guy
And, like,
hits
I
his
think
head in the barrier and
I
is like,
think
what's
his
going
felt
on?
something like popped off. I don't know if it was sunglasses or what. But you see it fly into the middle of the course. Yeah, I think it was his glasses. Stops it.
This watch.
It's so great.
Oh, man.
So on that note, I think that's all I have for the quick takes today.
Any final questions before we call it a day?
Let's see. I think we hit them. I think we're good there. And so yeah, Cave Creek Thriller this weekend should be a lot of fun. We probably will do a report on that.
Should be ideal conditions for like fast times, I think. We
Yep.
just had some rains, but I think it's going to be drying out. Cold temperatures.
It's going to be, yeah, it looks like a cold front's coming in. I remember
Yeah.
last
It's
year.
going to be in the 30s, I think, the next few days.
Is it?
For us in Phoenix. For the lows, yeah.
Ooh,
Low in like highs in the 50s.
well, that race starts at 6:30 a.m. and
so it's in the dark for like the first
yeah,
half hour or
so
so.
last year it starts like a mile, like less than a mile from Lake Pleasant, and so I was expecting like lake views, and I never saw the lake. You don't see the lake at all,
It's not like damn good run. You're below the lake the whole time. yeah.
right? And then there was just such a headwind last year, and it's point to point, so it's the entire time. And I wrote this in like my race recap blog, but I've never seen in a race before, in a trail race, people actually drafting. I've mentioned this a few times off of Peter Mortimer. I've never seen anything like it. There was a string of at least 3 runners tucked down behind Pete Mortimer as he ran into the headwind, and they took off in front of me.
Oh, boy. Well, hopefully you guys get a tailwind this year.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's some fast people in it. Should be fun. I'm excited to run against the winner of the Tucson Marathon. He's going to be guns blazing, unless he's sore. I mean,
When you got Nick also.
oh, absolutely. And I know
Well, he's
Nick's.
used to getting crushed by Nick.
I'm used to that. Like, yeah,
Yeah, but you're going to be a little fresher.
I do. Yeah, I had a 1 week gap, so yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you all for tuning in once again this week. Thank you, Matt and Bryce, for being with me here today. I'm trying to think if we're going to do a show next week. Probably do one more show before the holiday season. Might be our last show of the year. We'll do a Cave Creek Thriller. Do we have point standings for Dirt Series been updated on Ultra Sign Up?
Let me double check.
I would love
that.
to take a quick look at those, but
Yeah.
we'll do that next week as well, hopefully with the Cave Creek Thriller results. And then we'll do an across the years preview as well. So that's our last race of the year, closing out and starting off next year. So if you still want to come out and join us at Across the Years, we do have signups open for another couple weeks or a week or so. Here we go.
Oh,
So starting with the Hawk.
All right, we got Bryce, of course, having run both of them. He got 869 points. That's tough.
We'll take it for now.
Going up against Chris there. But yeah, that does put him at the top of the list. And then the women's race, so you got quite a gap on second, though. So Garrett Smith is second with 1588, and then third is Jake Sandmeyer with 1560. So a bit of a gap developing, but we'll see after Cave Creek Thriller. There's a lot of races left in the series.
There is.
And then the women's race, a little bit closer. We've got Bella Ward out front, was your winner at Pass Mountain, also having a strong race at Frenzy. Lori Enlow and Christine Nelson also both racing. So A lot can happen here, but we're off to a good start. Shout out to Noel Kingston.
Oh yeah, he's
Love
been
it.
his
Crushing.
times. He's doing really well. He's putting down some solid times. I think
He's looking fit. He's
Mhm.
looking thin and fit, I
Mhm.
will say. Tan, too.
All right, so next up we got the Owl series. Did you say tan?
Tan and fit. We love Noel. All right.
Dan Watson is fast.
Wow. Okay, so both of them, looks like your early leaders
And Amanda.
from Pass Mountain did not return. But so now our leaders are our winners from Frenzy.
Yep.
And Amanda, of course, is racing again. I'm guessing Dan is as well.
And the Roadrunner. Oh yeah,
oh, look
Jesse.
at that. They swapped.
Oh.
Yep.
Ooh, exactly the same points for Alicia and Jesse. Antonia also raced strong in both. It looks like that's interesting. So our winners in this series, this includes our 10K and 10 miler. Yeah, it looks like a couple of the other winners did not race. So our Pass Mountain men's winner and our McDowell Mountain Frenzy men's winner, neither of them raced the other race. So we'll see if they show up. And then what is the next one is the Quail, which is our short distance.
Sam Lev.
Sam Lev out to a perfect start. And neither of our winners for the women have raced both races. So they are lurking at the moment.
Jennifer and Katie.
Yep.
And then I believe the last one's not starting till spring. Yep. Hummingbird is in the spring.
Nice. Awesome.
Well, there you have it.
Thanks for running through those. I'd like to recognize everyone that's taken part in our Dirt series. That was the Dirt Report right there.
That was the
Officially.
Dirt
We
Report.
did it. We got to mention it. Mention the name. Awesome. Well, we will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Say hi if you're out at Thriller this weekend. Hope to see you. Otherwise, see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you.